murder, secrets unfold. True crime stories, let the intrigue be told. Grab a seat, get cozy, let's dive into the plot. With Mac J by my side, there's so much to be sought. Mods from the stars, they light up the night. Chillin' with Van, everything feels just right. Welcome to the mystery, the thrill, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. Spirit Time vibes with Lisa and Mark. Tia and Mel igniting the spark. According to Lean, curiosity flows. A curious rose in a garden of woes. Sweet misery whispers, tales that enthrall. While Matt, Meg and Jody, we gather them all. Welcome to the mystery, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. So come along, join the fun tonight. In Aussie true crime, everything feels so right.
Hey, beautiful people.
Hi, everyone.
Was that me with a lot of interference?
I'm not sure.
We'll see how it goes. I have my fan going, so if I need to, I can turn it off if that's interfering with the noise. But beautiful Mrs. T, I hope she's still awake. Tammy, how are you, my darling? Looks like it's going to be a quiet night. But anyway, we'll get into it. So I wanted to start it like we did last week with our little video of William. I guess people will talk as they come in. Let me find it. Okay, here it goes.
William, woohoo! Here I come. Where's that William guy? You're doing really well. Here I come, William. I'm right next to you. Hello. Look at you. Have you finished?
No, I did it.
Lick your fingers, lick your hand. Happy birthday, William. Go, William. Yay!
I love that one because it always reminds us why we're here and what we're here for.
Exactly.
So good. Another thing I wanted to show tonight, and it was just to go through the area and show us again the house where he went missing. So this interview, this is William Tyrrell's foster father, and he's with one of the detectives. The guy behind him is a detective, and they're just doing a walkthrough, going through again what happened on the morning. But I thought it would just show us like his perspective of what happened, but also the house, the backyard. We can only get so much from photos, and I thought this way we get a chance to have a look as well what the ground was like back then, because this was like a couple of days after William had gone missing.
So, well, where is he? Where's he gone? She said he was here 5 minutes ago. Here 5 minutes ago. Still sitting down.
Yep.
Right. I said, well, where's he gone? She said, I can't find him. So I then, I won't run for the purposes.
Yeah.
Right?
We won't be keep up.
But I started to go down here. I was calling his name.
Were you motioned?
Sorry.
Were you motioned this way? Do you think, or she actually identified this?
She said that he was last seen around here.
Yep.
But I thought, okay, well, you know, if he was down at the road, you possibly would have seen him.
So
He's in his bright clothes.
just for the video.
Yep.
Just can you say your own name? Just how loudly you said that?
In my own name.
Yeah, just so we can have an example.
William, come on, William. Where are you, William?
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's
So-
continuing all the way down here.
Yeah, I didn't go down here initially.
Okay.
Because I could see that area, but I thought that if he's gone somewhere, I continued to traverse across, and I was following every area. I was looking because I knew what he was in. Okay, so I continued to follow down.
And that's the Spider-Man suit.
Yeah. But I would have walked. You know, I think I came over here. I did 90 minutes in this area.
Yeah, I understand that.
I'm not going to take you through the 90 minutes,
Yeah.
but I went down, and you know, I've been in Cubs, Scouts, Venturers. I've been out bush on motorbike trips and all that sort of stuff. I'm pretty savvy in that regard. I would go to a section where I'd know that okay, well there's fencing there that he wouldn't get through.
Yep.
Right, which would drive him down to a specific direction. So I then, went out towards the street. Couldn't see anything there, but trying to uncover things as I went. Then
So you've checked that dollhouse over there?
I absolutely went through there, went underneath their house, went around their house, went in there, because they weren't home.
Yep.
I went in their carport. They've got a caravan in there that's all locked away. I went in there, I checked under
And that
there.
was locked?
Caravan was locked, yep, absolutely.
So you're being fairly systematic, is that?
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it?
Yep. And I was looking in everything I possibly could. I then couldn't find him. I then found there's a walking trail or a trail that leads to the cemetery. I followed that. You know, I was still looking for things on the ground, if there's something, you know, he might have lost a shoe or something like that.
You were yelling all this time? All
this time, yeah.
Did the yelling increase in
Yes.
being louder and louder?
Excuse me, sorry.
That's all right.
Oops. Yeah, all the time,
Okay.
yelling for him all the time.
Okay. So, at
Okay.
what point do you cross over back to Benaroon?
I can't remember exactly because I came back up. So I got down to this point where, you know, you had no choice but to come back across.
One thing I don't get, and I hate it, is the fact that they still hide his identity. Do you know what I mean? It was hid in this video, and even till today, the foster parent's identity is still hidden.
Crazy.
It is.
I ran back up here. I could see had kind of again come down this sort of way. She's calling out for him. She's looking down that side. I can see that she's distressed.
Chilling with Van, how are you, beautiful? Mac J, this is our beautiful Chilling with Van. Thank you for coming in.
Hi, chilling with Van.
Well,
Did you notice anyone else around?
not straight away. Not straight away. They're away. I didn't even look up there. There didn't seem to be anyone else coming out around this area, coming out of their
Okay.
house or anything like that.
Is there any particular reason why you focus on this corner? Or it just seemed logical to you?
It just seemed logical. That was the last place she saw him. He's
Yep.
got asthma. He wouldn't probably spend his time going uphill. Could
Yep.
it would just be too hard for him. And that was the last place that she saw him in around, just on that grassed area. And she said he was just here. So I said, okay, well if he's just here, and the I guess he's a little bit like water. It's the least a path of least resistance that he'd go down. Look, I mean, he was, he's up to here on me. He's tiny, but he's wearing his blue and red Spider-Man outfit. He would have been easier for me to see, and I can cover.
And we've started doing a segment every Wednesday, and it's our Wednesday for William. So it's William Tyrrell's case, and this is the foster father going through his walkthrough of the morning, showing what happened. Beautiful Jody, how are you, my darling? Welcome in. So yeah, we're just going through showing what, just so we can basically look at the area and I suppose listen to what he's got to say.
So where if you put your hand, that's his height.
I can put my hand on his head.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
not straight, but just it's slightly
Slightly
bent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So I then went off in this direction, went off in that direction. I then came out. I would have been on the road. I said, "Have you seen him?" Because I was.
are we seeing anyone by this stage? Or-
Yeah, had gone down to some of the neighbours across this sort of area because they had started to come out because they could hear me calling. I then started to go, okay, well, he's got to be somewhere else. So that I then went.
Would it be fair to say? Would you have noticed other people, or were you
Yes.
just solely looking for the red and white, the red and blue?
No, I was looking for him, but I then started because calling out, yelling out, it's just starting to go up and down the street. People were coming out.
So who was the first person, other than other than a family member or a friend, that you saw? Where was their location?
There was a lady walking to over there. I don't know her name. Knows her, but then I started to go into other people's houses. I was backtracking. I was looking under the houses. I was jumping fences. I was looking for where there were pools.
Did you speak to anyone? Did you say anyone? Do you see anyone that says, "Where's Will"? You know what I mean?
Yes. I did come across people. I couldn't be exactly sure who they
Do you remember
were.
where the first one was? I know it's hard to remember.
I came across no one there. I came across no one there until a search later on.
Do you want to move down a bit to help your memory?
Yeah,
perhaps?
sure. It possibly, I can't recall whether it was even this person in this house here.
So obviously we're skipping the actual route that you told.
Yeah. I don't think you would have been able to catch up with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw that. So even this.
So it's not the full thing, but it does show us the area and that we're around. My beautiful Leanie, how are you, my darling? And thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. Welcome in. So another thing we want to share as well. Last week we were talking a lot about Gary Jubelin, and when he got removed from the case. Thank you so much. So I wanted to share an interview with Gary. It's only 8 minutes long, but as we spoke last week that they didn't listen to him. So I thought at least we'll give him the chance and listen to what he's got to say about when he had the case. Let me just find...
Is he the guy on
Right,
the podcast?
Yes, he does the podcast I Catch Killers.
Okay.
That I really wanted to talk to you about in depth in person in the studio. I really wanted to have you up here to do that. But I mean, as we said with the Rona, who knows when that'll be. It's one of the biggest cases, I'm sure, in your career. I think it was 4 years that you were involved. Obviously, that's not the longest case that you're involved in. But as far as publicity is concerned, that's, Australia's been so interested in that case, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the first steps in that case? How you were contacted, how you became involved, and maybe tell people, because I think, because it has been some time now, people start to forget about it. Could you perhaps remind people of what happened in that case and how you became involved?
Yeah, William Tyrrell, it was, I think 7 years ago now, September, 7 years ago. I became involved in I was a detective chief inspector at homicide, and I took...
So we're actually 10 years now. Obviously, it was 7 when this interview was done, but we're 10 years down the road.
Over the investigation, 5 months into the investigation. So William was 3 years old. He was up at Kendall on the mid-north coast. Port Macquarie is probably the nearest town. And with his, and it's public record, he was with his foster parents, and he'd gone to the grandmother's place, and he was out playing. It was a Friday morning. He was out playing in the front yard. It was a semi sort of rural area, and he disappeared. And so there was a massive police search, and invariably with matters like this, 99% of the time the child's found. And this is just these rare situations where William wasn't found. And if you go to Benaroon Drive, it's obvious it's a dead end. It's a dead end street on the end of a town that's got the point I'm trying to make here, it's not Benaroon Drive where William disappeared from, is not a drive-through area. So to go out there, you've got to be heading out there to that location for a specific reason. So if it's a person looking for a kid, they're not cruising around Benaroon Drive looking for a child. So I knew I was going to take over the investigation. A lot of things had happened prior to me heading up the investigation. When I first looked at all the information that came in, we were overwhelmed with information from the public, obviously, with a crime like that. I went up to Benaroon Drive because I like to get a sense of the crime scene. So literally up there, sitting there, getting a feel of what the offender might have been feeling, what was round there, the noises, the sounds, and just get a real feel of it. And I led the investigation for 4 years. A lot of it was played out in public. There was a couple of suspects that were played out in public, but there was 90% of the people that were targeting the public was not aware of. The media were very interested in it for obvious reasons, and so 4 years I led the investigation, and it led to my downfall in my career. That I'd recorded some conversations with a person I was speaking to about William's disappearance. Look, I've talked about that before, and I say I make no apologies for what I did. I had a reason to record those conversations, and I believe a lawful reason. I was protecting the reasonable cause to protect my lawful interest. I won't bore you with all the details of it, but from that, I got taken off the investigation. So that's over two years ago. And the sad part about that is that I wasn't allowed to do a handover with anyone, the police taking it over. That's a continual source of frustration to me. I don't think it's right. I think there's a lot of stuff that was missed because I wasn't allowed to do a handover. Having said that, the police are putting resources into it, and hopefully they will resolve it. Questions, and I sort of anticipate, do I know who's taken William? I led the investigation for 4 years, so I had ideas, call them case theories, some indicators, the people that I was looking at, and I was removed from the investigation, I think 2 or 3 weeks before it went to the coroner's court. I had a specific strategy I wanted to employ in the coroner's court, and that was not done. But I'm very wary. It's the William Tyrrell case is not about me. It's about a kid that's disappeared. It's unfortunate that I was taken off the investigation, but what we've got here is a 3-year-old child that disappeared. Now, the New South Wales Police should be judged by their response to an investigation like that. We can't accept that a 3-year-old kid can disappear in a location like that, and hopefully they're putting the resources in. I fought, as I usually did, to keep resources when I'm heading up an investigation like that. The foster family and the biological family are just traumatised by William's disappearance, and the coroner, the matter's before the coroner, so I don't want to anticipate what the coroner's findings may or may not be. She was due to come back with findings earlier this year. It's been put off for some reason. I'm not privy to what's going on with the investigation at the moment, but I certainly got strong views on the direction it should go on. You do question yourself when you're heading up an investigation like that for 4 years. Would have I done anything different? I've been investigating homicides for over 20 years at that stage. If I didn't think I had the skill set to do the investigation, I would have happily handed it over to someone else. But I had the experience and I had the passion, and it is the biggest disappointment of my career, the way that I was taken off it. And I chose to leave the police. I wasn't sacked from the police, but when you've been working at the coalface like I had, and then just been put in a room to
you can't take a step back. No way. Like, you're doing that for so long.
I don't think. If I showed, I got caned at the court, I got convicted on appeal, I got fined $10,000. I think if I showed contrition, it would have been something different, but that's not who I am. And I'm not going to apologise for things that I don't think I did anything wrong, and I stand by that. Now, some people might call me an arrogant prick for being that. That's who I am. I can justify everything that I did on that case, and I'm not going to make any apologies. Will I change anything? Yeah. If I knew I only had 4 years to solve it, I would have even gone harder. Now people might be shocked by that. Look, he's learned nothing from his mistakes. But, I was well placed to make the decisions I was making and the direction I had that investigation in. And I'm sorry if people want to hear me apologise. I'm not going to apologise. And, that'll have people come back at me, but so be it.
So I thought that was interesting, just to at least hear a bit of his side of it. There is more, and after we finish the podcast, I will find some more from him, because I found quite a few interviews where he goes into it, and I've even found some of where he goes into, because he was the one that actually pushed for the coroner's inquest, and I found some where he talks about why he wanted the inquest. What's pretty interesting too. What other one? Oh, so I also had the foster parents interview. I seen Tammy, and who else came in while we were listening? Mrs. T, you're back. Okay, so hang on, wrong one.
Hey, Judy.
I got to make sure I'm clicking the right one. So this is the full police interview that was on April 17th, 2015. And it's the foster parents.
How horrendous this process been?
I think there are words. It's like, it's a never-ending nightmare. We wake up, we just relive it. I just can't believe it happened. We just don't have our boy. We have no idea where he is. We don't know who's got him. We don't know what's happening to him. We know nothing about it. We just want it to be over.
That's part of the battle, isn't it? 1 minute he's there, next minute he's vanished.
It was.
Yeah.
It was just, it's surreal. I'm living somebody else's world. I'm in somebody else's life. It
is like living a nightmare.
You wake up and it's just always here. You go about your normal day, it's just always there. It's never away from you. It's constant.
Because you can't extinguish that love for your boy.
Never.
And you're caring parents, you're wondering, is he okay?
Never. And we have to watch his sister learn to play and learn to be an only child. It's heartbreaking.
When did you guys last see him?
That morning, on the 12th, at Mum's place.
Tends to be about 10:15.
No.
And can you just give a bit of a background? What was he doing? Is that his grandparents' place?
Well, we'd gone up to visit Mum and Dad. Well, Mum, because Dad had passed away. I keep calling it Mum and Dad's. We'd gone to visit. It was a surprise visit. And
We left early.
we left early the night before. Surprised them, surprised Nana.
Can you tell us what William was doing at his nana's place?
He was playing. He was having fun. He was
In his Spider-Man outfit.
in his Spider-Man outfit playing Daddy Tiger. I mean, it was.
Yes, Tammy, 2 weeks after William went missing, the foster parents went on a trip to Bali, and there was photos on the internet of them drinking, laughing, and having fun.
It's just it was fun. It was just normal.
He was doing what he would normally do.
And it was a surprise visit to Nana's, wasn't it?
Yeah. We'd actually planned to go on the Friday, but we ended up on the Thursday leaving earlier, and it was a surprise for Mum, and it was a surprise for the kids to go before, because they love going to Nana's, and it was a complete surprise.
So the kids had no idea either.
None.
It was a
None.
Yep.
They were over the moon. We told them in the car once we'd picked
They
them
were
up,
excited
and
as ever.
they were screaming with delight.
Yep.
So we get to do something special, which is stop at McDonald's on the way, which we don't normally do. And it's just an adventure. It's just a family going to see family.
And when you arrived, the kids no doubt jumped out of the car and raced to see
Yeah.
Nana.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a really happy family environment.
Yeah.
Just as exciting for Nana as it was for the kids.
Yeah.
She loves seeing the kids.
Yeah.
And when did things start to go awry?
Well, when I realised that William was missing, I think back to that moment where I just went, I can't hear him. Why can't I hear him? And I walked around. Seriously, it was just 2 meters, 3 meters away from where we were sitting, and I've just walked out and I just see nothing. I see nothing. I hear nothing. I'm speechless. I'm walking around in a circle on the spot thinking, where is he? Why can't I see him? And I'm yelling out, William, where are you? You need to talk to Mummy. Tell me where you are. I can't see you. I can't hear you. Where are you? And he was nowhere. And I'm just standing.
Mrs. T, we're at the moment everyone's divided. So I don't want to say a percentage, but there are a lot of us that believe the foster parents are suspects. It's the way they've acted all the way through. I do know that the biological parents were cleared of this. They have been cleared. But the foster parents, do you mean that it was sent to a coroner inquest, and the inquest was stopped because the police thought that the foster parents or the foster mother had taken William's body and disposed of it. Now they opened up the inquest again. It went for another couple of weeks, and they've now said that they don't want to hear any more evidence, and we'll find out hopefully middle of this year what the decision is from the inquest. But yeah, some of us think they are, some people don't. Just depends what side of the fence you sit on, I guess. Mary Jane Doe, how are you, beautiful? Welcome in.
They're thinking, how could he just disappear? Because he just disappeared. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Did you think initially that, kids being kids and he's in a Spider-Man
No.
outfit, he's probably climbing trees? Or
It's not William.
No?
It's not William.
Why not? Why isn't it?
He doesn't do that. We were in that morning before he went missing. I put him into a tree because Mum's got some great climbing trees. He was in it, but he was like, "Oh, Mummy, too high, get me down."
Right.
So, and I said to him, "Why don't you try?" And he said, "No, Mummy, too high, get me down." So I got him down. So he wouldn't be in a tree. It's not in him.
Because he's sort of a child that would sort of pick a spot to play in and stay there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And he'd stay within distance, knowing how far away he was from us.
Yeah.
At any given point in time.
Yeah. He always had us in earshot or eyesight,
Or he'd do the check-in.
Yeah.
He'd come back around from the corner or checking out a spot.
Hi, beautiful Linny. How are you, my darling? Welcome in.
And come and just check how far away it was and wave at you and just do the check-in.
He's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a wanderer,
No.
not a child to run away. He just, whilst he's got a really good sense of adventure, but he's got a really good understanding of his limitations.
Yep.
He's not a kid that would just run into something and he would stop and think. He would consider what he would do before he would do anything else.
Smart little boy.
Yeah.
Not spontaneous.
No.
Oh, he's spontaneous in terms of
Not
humour
an
and
adventure
fun.
sort of.
No.
So in that case, when you sort of looked around the grounds for him and couldn't find him, you would have thought something's not right.
I thought that immediately. I had a vision in my head. I don't know why, but I have a vision in my head. Somebody, I can't explain it. Somebody reached over, and I sort of feel like they've gone clump on his shoulders, picked him up and moved him on, because to me that's the only way. It's the only way I can explain for him not to be there. I don't get it. How can a little boy, how can a 3-year-old boy just vanish into nothing? Because that's exactly what it was like.
I think it's fair to say the community's asked that very question, and particularly on a semi-rural property. Kids don't just disappear.
No, they don't.
No.
They don't. My brothers have brought their kids up around there. They would run those streets with absolutely no fear. Every other house on that street with kids, those kids are on that street with absolutely no fear. There's no reason for them not to be safe at Nana's house.
So you raised the alarm pretty well immediately.
Well, I raced around for a bit and went down and got the neighbour to help, then came back because he had a meeting.
I'd had a meeting and I arrived back and there was a little bit of confusion as to whether William was with me because
I thought maybe
he's always looking out for me in my car.
Yeah.
And I was on my way back and I'd arrived back and I'd been asked if was William with me.
Yeah,
and I said no.
Yeah.
And then I immediately got out of the car and started looking around, and then within about 5 minutes we raised the alarm, and I think I ran the perimeter of the whole street within about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's not a wanderer. He would not even cross a street
No,
by himself.
no.
He wouldn't go far.
Parents
No.
know their own kids, don't
Yeah,
they?
he wouldn't do it. He just wouldn't do it. It's not in him. Even if somebody was to entice him across the road, he wouldn't do
He'd
it.
be very reluctant.
He would have run back. It's just not in his character to just go blindly with people. And I know, every mother says that about their child, and and I realise that kids can be tempted. I understand that completely. William's personality was, I'm interested, but I'm cautious. Like, he didn't trust freely. Like,
He's not just going to jump on
no,
something.
I can't see him.
No.
I can't see him doing it.
No, he was
I can't
cautious.
see it.
He'd cower away,
Yeah.
as little children would normally do. But he had this instinct
Yeah.
about him about doing the right and the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's a tough.
Did you catch what she said then?
What?
That she used was instead of is in past tense.
She's been using past
Interesting.
tense the whole interview. I think from even when she was talking to the police at the start, she was picked up for using past tense. Does he? We'll have to notice if he does.
Yes, we will.
Question, but when did you first suspect abduction?
In my mind, it was immediate, because there's no way in the world William would have got into that bush. It's too thick. There's lantana all through it. There is no way in the world he would have gone into that bush.
And being a cautious boy, as you said, he's going to think twice about doing it.
Yeah. It was in my head, and even when I was talking with Mum while we were waiting, and I was doing the frantic thing around running through the house and opening up cupboards and all sorts of stuff, I just kept going in my head, somebody's taken him. I can't. In my mind, it was the only logical explanation for what could have happened.
A child in that situation, in that circumstance, in those surrounds, would not just disappear into thin air. I mean, I have my doubts. I didn't know what to believe at the time, especially in the first.
Mrs. T, every video and every picture I have seen, he is the most adorable little baby. And because he was 3, he was still a little baby. And even some of them, me and Mac J have been going through some of the photos, and you can see bruises on this poor little baby. Like, there's probably 5 or 6 photos, Mac J, we've seen with big bruises on his little face.
And his arm. Yeah.
Hour or two, I didn't know what to believe, but I guess my mind was wandering as to what could have happened to him. But I just had to keep on going and have the support of the community around us that were also looking for him. The police were on scene within minutes, which was absolutely fantastic. But I didn't know what to believe.
But in that community, you don't expect someone to take a child. I mean, seriously, it's a tiny community. Everybody knows each other around those streets. There's complete trust. I'm astounded that there could be somebody living there, or people living there, that could do this. It's not the place where you'd expect it in the city. You'd expect abductions in the city. You don't expect to hear about abductions in Kendall and out of my mum's street. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I was going to ask that. A parent would be extra cautious in Sydney.
Yeah.
Like, you'd probably let your guard down and be a bit disarmed in a quiet neck of the woods like that. Do you feel that, do you feel betrayed that someone within that community has potentially kidnapped a child?
I don't think it's somebody from the community. I think it's someone who doesn't have a history there. I think it's. I'm saying if. I mean, I don't know for sure. I can't see a true local who knows my mum, who knows us and knows our family, choosing to take our child. I can't see that. And if that's the case, then I feel so sorry for that community because that is absolutely disgraceful and nobody can trust a soul. That's not the community of Kendall. No. People trust each other there.
Dad, do you feel the same way?
Oh, absolutely. I think the community's probably going through just as tough a time as we are, because there are so many families there with young children that are now changed their lives as well, and the impact that that's actually had on them for I don't know what period of time, but it is disgraceful.
I'd like to just have a bit of a chat about William himself. He was such a vibrant kid, and I suppose every parent like myself has seen that photo of him in Spider-Man outfit and just tears at the heartstrings.
Yep.
Like you not knowing. What do you see when you look at that photograph?
Because I took the photo. I took 3 photos. I do photo books.
Jody, yes, this is the 2 foster parents in the interview. Lenny, he was precious. Let me find. That was it's not the last photo. Hang on, this was the last photo taken of William before he went missing. Mrs. T, can you just remove Jody's comment for a minute? So this was one of the last photos taken of William. He was on the balcony of the grandmother's house, drawing with his sister. And he roared at his mother. It's not the background, but this is the picture of him roaring at the foster mother. What was basically the last photos taken of him. But he was so beautiful. 10 years too long, this precious little baby's been missing.
Yes, too long.
Well, when this case first came out, I think it was like the first 6 months, everyone knew something was wrong and they wouldn't tell us, because it took about 6 months before it came out that he was actually put in the foster system. Accidental death.
Yeah, Ozzy, I have different theories on what happened, but he was definitely he didn't walk off, basically.
No.
That's what we both think.
No. It's just going to be interesting to see what the coroner gives us for this. So, something we're all waiting for.
Yes.
Of what we do as a family every year. So every time we go somewhere, I have my camera and I just take pictures of what they're doing. And I thought, Mum's getting old. It'd be really good for William and his sister to have memories of being at Mum's. And my dad passed away in February that year, so that was really the first time we'd been back.
That is the theory, or one of the theories. Did I still have a picture of the house? No, I removed.
Are you sure? I thought we still had one.
No, I think I removed it. I've got this one so you can see the side of the balcony, but it's not where they think he fell from. I'll have to look and see if I can find one. I do have one. It'll just be in one of my... I was just telling Mac Jay, I have like 5 folders on this computer of William Tyrrell. And if my stuff isn't in that, it's on another computer that I probably have another 5 more folders of William Tyrrell. But yeah, that is one of the theories, that he fell off the balcony, and I can't even say it, but yeah. Yeah, I have, Lenny. I've done William a few times. That's why we want to do this one every Wednesday, because he's been missing for so long. So we just wanted to dedicate every Wednesday to doing something for William, so we can at least keep his story out there, because we hear so many of all these other cases and no one talks about our cases.
Yeah. And especially since the it's been 10 years and the coroner's report's coming up mid this year.
Yes, I'm very excited for that.
Me too.
Since Dad had passed away.
Yep.
And we were going to go and visit Dad's grave, and they were drawing some pictures to put on his grave. They were sending some messages to OPA and things like that. And I just thought, I want to just take some pictures of that. So I look at that picture and I remember what we were doing and why we were doing it. I remember William just being absolutely beside himself with happiness at being at Nana's house. I remember the discussion I had with William about putting on his Spider-Man clothes because I wanted him to wear a singlet. He didn't want to wear a singlet, so the compromise was he'd wear a Spider-Man t-shirt underneath his Spider-Man clothes, so he was Spider-Man'd out completely. All these little things that I just remember. It was just a normal family doing normal family things with their grandmother. An appointment, which is not unusual. He works remotely. We were waiting for him to come home, and then we were going to go and visit Dad's grave. Then we're going to go out and have. So we'd planned the day, and I look at that picture and I just think, minutes, and our world has changed. His sister no longer has a brother.
Yep.
We no longer have a child. We no longer have our boy. My mum is coping with her own grief because it happened at her house. It's just awful.
She can't blame herself.
No, she doesn't. Oh, I hope she doesn't, but no, she can't.
What sort of boy?
The biggest one I feel sorry for out of all those people she just mentioned is William's sister. That's who I feel sorry for.
Yeah, me too. She just can't even imagine how she feels, you know.
She
That's
even
her brother
said,
on the TV, you know.
I've got a transcript and we'll read it out one day of her interview, but I do know that in her interview she's said that when she's older she wants to become a detective so that she can solve her brother's case. What's always hit my heart. It's like, oh.
So you just mentioned he was cautious, yet
He's
still has an
vibrant.
adventurous spirit.
Vibrant.
Yeah.
He's the cheeky, vibrant little boy, but full of energy, but loves interacting with his sister. He loved interacting with us. I mean, he's my little boy. I mean, I see that photo and it just brings me to tears.
They're pretty cheeky at that age, aren't
They're
they?
very cheeky, but also that they've got that love, and the father and boy love that he had. It was just.
It's war, isn't it? They run up to the fierce hugs. And
Yep. And he adored his dad. Just absolutely. His eyes and there was a smile. Like I look at back at some of the pictures, and I look at pictures when William was smiling for me, and I look at pictures where William was smiling for his dad, and it's different.
Daddy's little boy.
Oh, completely. They adored each other. Absolutely adored each other, and it's heartbreaking.
What were his likes? What would you like to do? Was he a superhero?
Anything that related to Spider-Man. He loved Spider-Man. He loved.
Meaning they say that he didn't scream. They said that he was playing a raw game with his sister and he's run around the house. He's roared as he's run around, and when they didn't hear him come back around the other side of the house is when they realized that he was missing. That's their story.
He loved planes. And we'd even taken him to the airport and watch the planes take off and land. I mean, I guess they pick up on the things that you like as well. But anything related to Spider-Man and superheroes and those sorts of things he loved.
And we'd got him a bike for his birthday, so we'd all go bike riding together, and he was just in heaven. We've got pictures of William riding this bike, and there is just unbridled joy just over his face. He was just free, and he was really good. Just racing. Just wanted to get on that bike and just ride it.
It's a rhetorical question. No one knows the answer at the moment, but what do you think has happened to William?
It's a hard question. I think that if I could answer it by saying that, I think I trod those grounds myself for 3 or 4 days, every morning until almost nightfall. We had Polair, we had police from all around, we had, SES, we had the community. If he was out there in the bush, he would have been found.
Yeah.
Which, as I was walking through the bush with other people, it became more aware to me as time went on that this is not a normal event. This is not a child gone missing in the bush. This is heading down the path of abduction or something more sinister. That's what I believe. I truly believe now, and I still pray to this day that I still believe strongly that he's alive.
You can't give up hope, can you? You read about those cases overseas in America where 10 years later they're rescued or whatnot.
If somebody has him, and if he is alive, I want him to be safe. I want him to be feeling loved, and I want someone to be looking after him. Because to imagine that something else is going on, we can't live a life like that.
It's not right for him.
We need to know where he is, and we need to know what happened to him, because we can't live forever like this. His sister can't grow up never knowing what happened to her brother.
If someone does have him, what message would you say to them right now?
Just give him back.
Do the right thing.
Give him back. Take him to a church.
Drop
Take
him
him to
off.
a police station. Take him to a school. Give him to someone. Bring him back.
In the same vein as someone who knows about the intricate parts of this what would you say to them if they haven't come forward? For some reason they're scared or they feel aligned to somebody that's directly involved.
It's time.
What would you say to them?
It's time to do something. It's time to say something.
There are too many people whose hearts are breaking here. If you don't care about us, care about William's sister.
Yeah.
Care about his family. Care about the people who have to grow up with this, never knowing. He has a sister that's kind of permanently been identified as someone who was the sister of the little boy who's missing. It's not fair.
No.
It's not fair. Think about the children. It doesn't have to be about us. It's about the children, and it's about William.
And it doesn't have to end this way. If he's still alive, as my wife said, drop him off.
Just take him somewhere.
About doing the right thing.
Exactly.
Yep.
You can't take children. You just can't take children. He's 3. He's 3 years old. He's only lived for 3 years. It's ridiculous.
He hasn't started life.
He hasn't started. He hasn't gone to school. He hasn't. He can sort of count. Like he's reached none of those milestones that we all take for granted. And we watch his sister go through all these stages. We watch her learn new skills. We watch her create more friends. We watch her grow. You want that for your children. They have a future.
often people may have seen something that they don't think is totally relevant, or they dismiss it as being a minor part of the equation. What would you say to those people who may have the slightest bit of information but have yet to come forward?
Say something to police straight away.
Yeah.
Say something, because what they say or what they potentially bring is another piece to the puzzle that can at least get us closer to an outcome. And I said before, praying for a miracle for him to return alive, but praying for an outcome so that at least we can know what's happened to him. That's the goal at the end of the day.
I suppose the other thing too is if they don't come forward, or even the person who might be very close to whoever's done this, if they don't come forward, you don't want this happening to anyone else.
No.
You don't want this person striking again.
Yeah.
No.
You said right at the beginning, walk a mile in our shoes. You can't walk a mile in our shoes unless it's actually happened.
Yep.
And I don't think any parent anywhere deserves to walk a mile in our shoes. It shouldn't happen. It just should not happen.
Guys, this remains a high-profile case, and it's
Okay. It's easy to say he or she was taken, Carly Rodney taken, Joe Bennett taken, Maddie McCann taken, William taken. Yeah. I know, so many and so many unanswered.
Did you just let Ginger out of the room?
Hey?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I thought you said something then. Your kids don't just disappear. I know, and there's too many of them that we're supposed to just accept it. It is so sad. Okay, so what else did we have? So now's part 2 to the podcast that we were listening to. I've been watching more shows on Worldwide Rings. As a human, we should protect. Exactly, 100%. And they're everywhere.
They really are.
So the next one is part 2 to the podcast. So let me set it up. That we were watching last week. So this one's, again, he's talking about all the things that went wrong in the case and looking at it, looking at the people that were actually involved over the last 10 years and some of the people, how I would say is the people that have let William down is probably the best way to explain it. Exactly, Jody, 100%. Some kids do disappear, but not with evidence like these. Not with no evidence like these cases. I know what you're trying to say. But if they disappear, and like kids do, don't get me wrong, I know they're fast, I know they're quick, and I know they can. But you find them. You find them within a couple of hours. Do you know what I mean? A couple of days, we find them. Kids don't just disappear with no reason. But yeah.
One Monday, a couple of months ago, I got into the car with Nina, who's the producer on this series.
Just checking my levels again.
Pulled out into the traffic and went looking for someone we've been trying to talk to for the past 18 months.
Where are we going? What are we doing, Dan?
We're going to try and find William's birth mother, Carly. And the reason I want to talk to Carly is really just to let her know what we're doing and why we're doing it, and to give her the chance to tell us what she thinks of what happened. And the reason to do that is because if it was my child, I would want someone to contact me before doing this.
Yeah.
But they're not an easy family to get hold of.
No. So what we're doing today is our last option, really, because we've tried contacting Carly through social media. We've tried contacting Carly on the phone.
Yep.
We've tried several phone numbers.
Yep.
So our last effort, because we really do want to make sure Carly is at least aware of this podcast, even if she doesn't want to speak to us, we're going to door knock.
Yeah, we've got 3 addresses, and we're going to knock each of those houses and ask if she's there and ask if she wants to talk to us. And we've done this for Brendan as well, who's William's dad. You and me have driven out like this, and the first house we went to, do you remember, it had obviously been bought and sold and done up, and every record of them living there had just been wiped clean.
Yeah.
And then the second house, it wasn't a house, it was a unit in a block that had row after row after row of units. And we knocked doors and got nowhere. And then when we got back, I tried the strata agent and I said, is Brendan living there? And he had no record of Brendan ever being there. And then the third place was an apartment block with 6 units in it. And we knocked all the doors and no one there had heard of them either. So we weren't able to find Brendan.
Yeah.
Since this afternoon in the car with Nina, I've spoken to someone who said they would pass on my phone number to Brendan. And it's possible, Brendan, that you're listening to this. And if so, and you do want to talk, just give me a call. Another reason we want to talk to you, Brendan, and to Carly, is that when you look at the disappearance of William Tyrrell, there's one decision that is the start of everything that follows. That's the decision to take William off his biological parents and put him in foster.
So Brendan and Carly, the people that they're talking about now, are William's biological parents. So his real parents that he was removed from. So that's who Brendan and Carly are. Hello, beautiful Megan. Welcome in. How are you, my darling?
Care. So knowing what we know now, it's easy to say that that was a bad decision, or it was the decision that if it hadn't happened, William wouldn't have disappeared. But that's different from knowing what was known at the time. And at the time, it might not have been a bad decision. To understand if it was a bad decision, you have to go back to before when William was reported missing on the 12th of September 2014, to the other time William went missing. This time when he was just a baby, and when it was his birth parents who took him and hid him from the police. I'm Dan Box, and from news.com.au this is Witness, William Tyrrell. Episode 2, Looking for Carly. After trying to find Brendan, we did contact his mum, Natalie Collins. She's William's biological grandmother.
She's traditionally sort of been the spokesperson for the biological family.
Well, that was kind of what I hoped, that she'd be up for talking, but it didn't work out that way. I spoke to her and she said, yep, I'm happy to do an interview. And then I called her back and she didn't answer. So I called her back a bit later and she agreed to do an interview, but at a certain time. And so I called her up, she heard my voice and just hung up. And she hasn't answered the phone to me since. So then you called her.
Yeah. So then I called her.
Hello?
Hey, Natalie. How you going?
Yeah, okay.
It was a phone conversation and the audio isn't great.
I'm recording, by the way. Just got to let you know every time, otherwise, you get in trouble. Oh,
Hello?
Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure if you hung up on me.
No, it cuts out.
Ah, okay, good.
No.
So, did you
Listening to this interview, I think Nina sounds nervous.
I felt she was very emotional. And
Nina and Natalie are speaking the day after news broke that the police are seeking to charge William's foster mother over his disappearance.
And so I was just a little bit worried going into it how she was going to take the conversation and whether it was a good time to have that conversation.
William's foster mother, who was in the house with him at the time he went missing, insists she had nothing to do with it. She's not, as yet, been charged. Listening to Nina's conversation, it's pretty clear what Natalie thinks.
The thing is that they shouldn't have taken the kids off them in the first place, and that's where it's all going to start.
Natalie says the authorities were wrong to take William away from his biological parents.
William was devoted to Brendan. I seen William, I think, when he was taken off them, and then that day that they put him upstairs in a pram, he jumped from the pram right into Brendan's arms.
William was about 9 months old when he was taken from his birth parents. He was born on the 26th of June 2011 at the Royal North Shore Hospital in Sydney. I don't know why, but Brendan's name is not on the birth certificate. That box is just left blank. And a court would later hear there was a history of drug use and of domestic violence between Brendan and Carly. Both of them have criminal records. Brendan's been arrested dozens of times and he's been in prison on a few occasions. Although the only dates I can find for that are after William went missing. In their conversation, Nina asks Natalie about the most recent search for William.
When there was the search back in 2021, I read a quote from you that said you kind of didn't feel like there was any point in what they were doing because you already knew at that point that he was gone.
Mm. Have you ever been up there?
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah, well, you can't say that until you go up there, and then you'll see why. You have to go to the house and actually see the house, and then you'll understand why.
What did you think about Natalie telling you that you have to go to the road where William went missing to understand how she feels about it?
I didn't fully understand what she meant by that. I haven't been there yet. You've been there at least once.
Well, I've been there
a few times.
3-4 times now.
And we are going to go soon.
Yeah.
But did it give you some insight?
Yeah. I think Natalie's right. You do have to see that house because it's not until you see it and you realise it's a dead-end street. It's dead quiet. There's no way you'd go there unless you had a reason to be on that street at that time. And it's when you see that you realise the chance of a chance abduction, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
The only people who go there have a reason, and then almost certainly someone sees them on the street. And I think Natalie is right in saying that you have to see the place to understand how she feels. And the way Natalie feels is angry.
It's killed me. 3 years old. He just vanishes from the face of the earth.
Angry, I think, at the damage done to her family after William was taken away from them.
Like all the shit that I have been through from day one. Like Brendan, he lost his son, I lost my son, and I lost myself as well.
What do you mean by that? You've lost yourself?
Oh, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. It's a waste of time. You know, like, what do you mean? If you were in my shoes, you wouldn't even ask that. It's all fucked up. All you reporters are the same. I haven't talked to your reporters for a long time.
No, I understand
and then just
that.
Christian, no, you're hounding me. And I'm talking from my heart. You haven't been in my shoes. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick to death of it. Like, this has been my life for 10 years. My son has been in friggin' jail. He's been homeless. He's bloody hit rock bottom. After 10 years, you wouldn't believe what that child's been through or what I've been through with him. And who cares about that? No one. And I've done it on my own. And I'm still doing it.
Well, I don't want to hound you, Natalie, and I don't want to pretend that I do know what you're going through. That's why I'm asking.
Like, you reporters are all the same, like Daily Mail shit. It's all crap. You know, you got to be honest and help someone. You don't fucking put crap on there. Anyway, I don't want this recorded. I'm done.
Okay, I'll stop recording.
I wanted to ask you.
You have to really feel sorry for the biological family. Do you know what I mean? This ripped them apart. I'm not saying that their life was perfect before. Obviously, it wasn't, because they spoke of the drug use. They spoke of, do you know what I mean, the fact that they did try and remove William and his sister to start with, and the biological parents did run with the children because they were scared. They didn't want their children removed. And within a couple of months, they found them and ended up removing both the children. One thing I can say, and that's after the charges against the foster parents in 2021, that William's sister was returned to the biological mother, and the biological mother actually has care of William's sister now. So, Rachel Townsend, how are you, beautiful? Welcome in. Yes, poor little William. It was just drug use, Jody. They were in and out of charges and jail and everything like that. And then, do you know what I mean? The order was given that they were to remove the children, and they both took off with the two children. And it was like I think it was 2 months before they found them and found them at a Blockbusters, and then went in and took the children.
How do you feel about us using that tape of that conversation in this series?
Yeah, look, I'm not comfortable. I mean, I am comfortable. It's hard, isn't it?
Rachel, no, we were just saying before, the coroner's inquest restarted. They had it open for about 2 months. I know they heard from the truck driver and stuff, and then the coroner said that she didn't want to hear anymore. She'd heard enough evidence and seen enough evidence, and we will get something halfway through this year. So that's what we're all waiting for now. Thank you, Lenny, for coming in. Thank you so much. Have a good day at work, my darling.
I can't even answer that question properly. I guess the part of me that will be uncomfortable with that running is just mostly kind of ego, I think.
Why?
Because I really don't like to push people when they're not comfortable. I like to put their safety and their emotional safety first. So to have her respond really negatively to something I said, I don't feel good about that at all. I felt awful that happened.
Do you understand why I wanted to use it?
Yeah, I think so. You tell me why you want to use it.
I want to use it because it puts you on the spot, and I know that, and I appreciate that's hard. But the other thing it does is it demonstrates the sheer emotion and the sheer trauma that those close to William have gone through and are still going through now as a result of him going missing and there being no resolution of what happened to him.
Yeah.
And I think that is important, that in this case that has become headlines and news specials and social media chatter, and at the heart of it there is absolute grief, and no nothing we can say, you and me, can describe that better than that tape of Natalie getting upset and getting angry.
There's no way I understand. I absolutely don't understand. And I'm fine with her getting angry at me. I didn't feel angry at her for getting angry at me, because I think if we can try and put ourselves in her shoes a little.
They've got to understand how much the media has put the biological family through, especially that grandmother, because she has been the main spokesperson for the biological family. So I could fully understand how she feels. Do you know what I mean? She's the mother of William's father. So not only did she lose her grandchildren, because it wasn't just William, she lost the sister as well. But she also lost her son because he never... So William's biological mother cleaned herself up, but after he lost William, and especially after William went missing, he went right off the rails and never cleaned himself up. So to her, she also lost her son. So people have got to put in perspective just how she's feeling, what she's lost over this case.
Yep.
It's not just a name to her.
No, it's her grandson.
A little bit. They've really been quite powerless throughout this situation, right? They've been powerless since losing their child to the foster system. Then they were powerless through the police investigation. They were pretty powerless through the media reporting when we weren't allowed to say who they were. Again, the police and the government got in the way and sort of said, this is what can be said, this can't be said. So they've been censored sort of from being able to say what they want. So I think to be that powerless and then to have yet another journalist calling you, I don't know, at such a low point, I can get why she's angry. And I think that's fair.
After that first phone call, Nina sent Natalie a text message just saying sorry. And she didn't hear back and didn't talk to Natalie again. But another producer, Emily, tried calling instead.
Okay, you can still hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. And so you're happy for the phone call to be recorded?
Yep.
Yep. Wonderful. So we were just talking...
The conversation had a similar start. They're talking about the impact of William's loss.
What it's done to my family from day one has stuffed all of us up. And I lost my son and I lost myself on the way.
I'm so sorry to hear, Natalie. It must be absolutely awful.
How would you deal with it if it was your son or your daughter?
I can't even imagine.
10 years is a long time, you know. 10 years of my life that no one should really have to go through.
How are you going?
Look, like it's a long story, this bloody story, you know, like it's a long, drawn-out, sad story. But the thing is that these people, they failed to do their job properly. Because this shouldn't happen these days with foster care children. Like William was only a little baby, 3 years old. He vanished from the face of the earth.
Okay, so we're pulling up shortly to the first address. And what's your plan?
Look, honestly, I don't think we overthink it. Like, we are here to try and talk to Carly to tell her what we're doing and why we're doing it, and just be as straightforward and as honest as possible with her.
What we're not going to do is run up and shove a microphone at her face.
No.
If you walked up to my house with a microphone recording,
To talk about your missing child.
I wouldn't talk to you.
Yeah, fair enough.
But if it gets hostile, do you want me to get out and record or no?
Oh, so if it gets hostile, you're going to be sitting inside the car?
No, I'm going to be standing by recording it.
I don't think it's going to get hostile.
Is this it?
Yeah, it is. Are you going to stay in the car?
What would you prefer I do?
Stay in the car. I think it's fairer on Carly. What cannot have felt fair on Carly was the way having William taken from her meant other people, like caseworkers or the state government Department of Family and Community Services, effectively passed judgment on her as a mother. William's foster placement is recorded in hundreds of pages of documents, and one of these notes that at the time William was taken, his birth parents, quote, maintained a high level of denial regarding domestic violence in their relationship. The documents also say that Carly had, quote, unresolved attachment needs affecting her parenting capacity, and looked to her children for what the documents call developmentally inappropriate care and comfort. But nowhere in any of those documents that I've seen can you see what Carly has to say about that. I think that's the wrong house.
Okay.
So there was no one there, and I spoke to the neighbour, and the neighbour said it's not a Carly who lives there, but it is a Tyrrell.
Okay.
She looked a little bit circumspect at me.
Well, yeah, because you're just a strange man in the middle of the day.
I'm probably not the first strange reporter who's turned up at their house either over the years. But no, so I think we try.
Okay.
The next address.
Onwards to house 2.
I'll be honest, it probably wasn't until I went to knock on the door that I realised how actually faintly sick I feel doing this.
Talk me through it.
Oh, it's just that you know if it is the right person, you just know it's going to be unpleasant for them.
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably the most confronting way you'd have to do it.
So I left a letter there.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. What's the next address? One thing that makes the decision to take William off Carly and into care seem more open to question is that Carly had other children who stayed with her. And as far as I know, they're still with her. Carly was also pregnant when William was taken and has had other children since. It feels like each time she has a child, the Daily Mail writes articles based on Facebook photos. And in those photos, the family look happy. Natalie, William's biological grandmother, says that was not the case for William with his foster parents.
Like when William was in their care, black eyes, skinny, no shoes on. You know, we used to have supervised visits. And my son was too scared to love his children because he knew if they go home, they're going to be in trouble for that. How does that work out?
Natalie is really critical of William's foster parents and particularly critical of his foster mother.
Then she stopped everything. Not allowed to give them lollies, not allowed to give them Kinder Surprises, not allowed to give them the food that we were bringing. She packed the lunches, dry pasta. No. In costume clothes all the time, barking her orders, you know.
A lot of what Natalie says about William's foster parents, we're not going to repeat here, because what's not certain is whether what she's saying is fair or accurate. Some of what she says is right, like how William was encouraged to call his birth parents by their first names, Brendan and Carly, not to call them Mum and Dad.
But read through the records of William's foster care and you see it was his caseworkers who encouraged this, not his foster parents. And the idea behind it was to help William adjust to his foster family. At other times, Natalie's version of what happened contrasts completely to conversations I've had with other people or with documents from the time.
In their eyes, it was like they don't have a mother and father. You know, you go and you call them Brendan and Carly. You don't call them mum and dad because they're not your mum and dad. We are. Like, who does all that?
Every visit by William's caseworker is documented, saying how William seemed, what he was wearing, his general health, the fact he liked his daycare, how he and his caseworker were playing together, building a train set. As he grows up, the documents record that William starts going to soccer training on a Monday and dance class on a Friday. His placement with his foster parents is described as being very stable. And after 18 months, the documents record that William started saying his foster parents are his parents.
So there's a lot to answer for.
Natalie keeps coming back to the allegation that William was mistreated by his foster parents. But I haven't found any real evidence of it.
And we've just got to remember too, William was only, and his sister were only ever put into temporary care. It was never supposed to be a full-time position, or I suppose you could say. So I don't think it's right that he was turned against calling his parents his parents. Do you know what I mean? Yes, they lost their children, but they didn't lose their right.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't right.
No.
That in the files.
Well, how did William get a black eye?
There is a record in the files of William getting a black eye. In fact, there's pages about it. It was in July 2014, just after his 3rd birthday.
Oh, he fell off my lap. No, it was a black eye.
The foster records say William fell on a coffee table while crawling on his foster mother's lap.
You don't get a black eye from falling from a knee.
And speaking as a dad of 3, kids do pick up injuries that way. They fall off your lap or run into tables or trip downstairs. The files show the foster mother reported this fall to William's caseworker the next morning and sent through some photographs of the bruising. She also took him to the Royal North Shore Hospital. The doctors noted a hematoma, which is a pool of blood under the skin, and swelling to his cheek. There was no sign of concussion, he didn't need an X-ray, and William was discharged. A week later, the caseworker recorded the bruise was going down and that William was not in obvious pain or distressed. But 2 months later, on the day that William goes missing, his foster father told police that a week before, William had fallen backwards off a stool and struggled to get back up. And those records about William have since been used online and in the mainstream media as reasons to say he wasn't okay in the care of his foster parents.
There was heaps of reasons, you know. Like, William was never sick. William was always happy. And like the last time I think Brendan seen him was in August, and he was crying and screaming. He didn't want to go back. Not long after that, he vanished from the face of the earth. Now, you tell me that one. You just, like, that happened, and then all of a sudden, 3 days or 4 days later, the little boy's gone. How? Why?
In the years after William was taken from them, other documents show support workers saying Brendan and Carly go to huge lengths to do well in their parenting. Carly is quoted as saying her entire life is turned towards having the children return to their care. Brendan coped with the stress of losing William partly by working long hours, 6 days a week, the documents say. They say he took part in a course called Choosing Change, which is for men who've been violent or abusive. But Brendan's said to have missed a couple of the sessions and not really participated in the group discussions. So the course organizer recommended that he start the course again.
Has William's father, have you spoken to him?
Oh, yes, I have.
How does he feel about it all?
Well, I don't even know. He's trying to get himself, like, he's getting better. Do you know what I mean? Like, but he's got a lot of support where he is. So, you know, we talk about it and, you know, like, I feel bad for my son. Like, I just, you know, look at his life. His life has been turned upside down since that poor little boy disappeared. He's still in rehab, you know. He knocked himself around for quite a long time, you know, punishing himself. And it really wasn't his fault. He was a good dad. He was a good provider. He loves his kids, you know. So, and, you know, he's worked hard to get where he is today.
How long has it been since you've done a door knock?
Less than a year, but the last time I did a door knock, no one answered. The last time I did a door knock for a family whose child had been murdered or gone missing and actually got hold of them was 2 or 3 years now. And a lot of people hate doing it, but I've never minded doing it as long as you are sufficiently respectful and sufficiently apologetic, and it doesn't always go well. But it goes well more often than you'd think it would. All right, this is the second address. All right. If she does want to talk, I'll give you a shout, okay?
Okay, sure.
A week after their first conversation, Emily, the producer, called William's biological grandmother again.
Okay, can you hear me, Natalie?
Yeah.
Amazing. And you're happy for me to record our chat?
Yep.
Perfect.
This time, the target of Natalie's criticism isn't only William's foster mother. It's also Carly, who's in Natalie's sights.
I'd love to learn a little bit more about Brendan and Carly's relationship. How did they first meet?
I don't even know. Like, that was probably the worst thing he ever did in his life, is meet her.
Oh. You weren't that fond of her?
No, she had a lot of problems, a lot of issues, that girl.
Do you know how long they were together before they had William?
Oh, they've been together for probably 3 years or something. They were together for a long time. But she shouldn't have ever had kids, that lady, either. That's my opinion as well, so...
So it was a bit of a turbulent relationship, would you say?
It was a bit of like, well, Brendan was always doing the right thing, you know, going to work, paying the bills, and me and my daughter had to go down there like twice a week to make sure he could at least come in the door and have a shower, have dinner, and then after we left, then they started fighting, and then the people would call the police, and it was like, well, he's got to go, you know. But nothing major. I mean, I grew up in that sort of environment too, and no one rang and said my mother and father were fighting and blah, blah, blah.
How did it feel when Brendan and Carly's photos were out in the media and their names were used?
Yeah, terrible.
And the whole time the foster parents, their identities were all hidden.
Yeah, terrible. But Brendan wasn't as bad as what everyone thought. You know, I was a decent mum. I wasn't, you know, like a Mount Druitt mum. I was a decent mum. Like, you think he had a terror mother? No, he didn't. He had a good upbringing. He was a good, you know, kid, but met the wrong person.
Like with what Natalie says about William's foster mother, some of the things she says about Carly, we're not repeating here. Because we're not able to say they're right, or they contrast with the evidence we've got from elsewhere. And all you're left with is one person's.
As I said before, we've just got to remember she's just hurting. I mean, what she's saying, she's just hurting.
Opinion on another. In this case, Brendan's mum's opinion on Carly as a mother. And that's another reason to want to talk to Carly herself. All right, nothing again. No one there. Couple of cars in the driveway, a couple of motorbikes. One of them's being worked on, so I thought someone might be there, but no answer at all. So I left a letter under the door.
Okay.
Driving away from the second house, I don't doubt Carly wanted to be a good mum. Among the documents from William's time in foster care is one saying that Carly told one caseworker she only agreed to having William in long-term care so that she and Brendan could focus on parenting their remaining children well.
What do you remember about William as a little baby?
Oh, he was always happy. He was never sick, like always happy, you know. Happy baby, healthy. Like we would go there for 1 hour, supervised visits, sat down and had a picnic and or like Kinder Surprises and lollipops and stuff, but like we're allowed to have that. All this crap happened. So with William, like every time he seen Brendan, he just loved him and screaming and crying to go home.
Okay, so there are different versions of these contact visits. There's Natalie Collins' version, and then there's the written version in the documents of William's time in foster care. The biological parents were allowed 6 of these contact visits a year for 1 hour each. Natalie describes William screaming and crying when he had to leave them, but the written records from the time say, quote, "There were no observed signs of distress or sadness when William separated from his parents." Those words appear in the records twice for different visits. There are records saying that William became anxious or hyperactive or aggressive, slapping and punching his foster carers. He was described as defiant or having oppositional behaviour, and he had nightmares. But all of this seems to happen mostly just after these contact visits. And reading through, it seems more of a response to the difficulty of meeting different sets of parents. You find yourself starting to imagine what was going through a 3-year-old's mind. On the morning of their last contact visit, William's recorded as saying he didn't want to go, but he got excited when told it was at Chipmunks, which is a play centre with a huge maze with different levels and nets and is full of obstacles. It would be the last time William saw his birth parents, Carly and Brendan. 10 days later, William disappeared.
And so Carly and Brendan don't have any contact now?
Oh, no.
Do you mind me asking, when did their relationship end?
The day that William went missing.
That very day?
Yep, that was the end of it.
Was William's disappearance a contributor to that?
Yeah. Yeah.
If William didn't go missing, do you think Brendan and Carly might still be together today?
Oh, no. No, I don't think so.
You don't think so, or you don't hope so?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know roughly how old Brendan and Carly were when they met?
I think Carly was only like 17 or something, and Brendan was 20, about 22 or something. Only young.
Very young.
Silly. You can't change some people, you know, but I'm just worried about my kids, you know.
What's your biggest worry about them?
I'm always worried about them.
Yeah. It's a mother's instinct, worry about your kids.
Yeah, that's right.
The more I look at everything that's happened since William's disappearance, So much of it seems to come down to different kinds of judgment on motherhood. Who's a good parent, and particularly, who is a good mother? For Carly, having the state government come in and take her child away must have felt like someone saying, "You're not a good enough mother." And as a parent, that feels wrong. I mean, who really gets to make decisions about your kids? Which might explain why, in the months before William went missing, after his biological family first learned that the government was planning to take him, Brendan and Carly and Natalie, they took William and they hid.
I hid them for 3 months after I knew they were going to take William.
Oh, you're talking about before William went into foster care when Brendan took William.
Yeah. It was me, it wasn't him. So I hid them. I only hid them for 3 months and then they got caught.
Carly, Brendan and William lived with Natalie for weeks during this time, and Natalie says she arranged it.
I arranged it all.
You're the mastermind.
Yeah, that's right.
And so you were saying...
I should have taken him myself. I should have just took him myself, and then no one would have been able to take him off me. That's what I should have done.
This was in February 2012, when the State Government Department of Family and Community Services, which is also known as FACS, asked police to help find William. So a police sergeant went to Carly's address, and there was no one there. The police went to another address they had for William's biological grandmother, but the person who answered the door said they didn't know either Carly or the grandmother. So a caseworker called 4 different telephone numbers they had on file for the family, and all of them were disconnected. They called a 5th, but incoming calls were restricted. Back in the car with Nina, we're still involved in our own search.
House number 3 is the one I think is most likely to be her house currently.
Why do you think that?
Because we are aware that other journalists have been at this property in the last year and have seen her there.
And how did that go?
Not well. Not well.
How well?
Well, there is photos of that journalist being pushed away from the house by friends or relatives.
As the days passed and William stayed hidden with his family, the police kept trying different addresses. You had plainclothes detectives canvassing the neighbours, just knocking on doors. The police tried the extended family. A nurse arrived for a regular appointment with Carly, but no one answered.
Here we are.
Is it number 8?
I'm glad you told me that thing about how badly it went last time. Right.
Yeah, drive forward a little.
Just so you can see the door.
Yeah. Because if they do come out and shove you, I am going to get out of the car and record it. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
William was officially listed as a missing person. A month later, the police did catch up with his biological father, Brendan.
I remember the day, it's come to me, it's like it's all over now, Mum. They arrested him and arrested both of them, actually. Took William away and William was screaming and crying.
Were you there the moment that the police came and arrested Brendan and Carly?
No, I was at work.
What was it like going to work that morning? You've got your grandkids and Brendan and Carly in the granny flat out the back, and then you come home and your whole life's been uprooted.
The sad thing is the story is very sad from the beginning to the end, you know.
After baby William was found being hidden by his birth parents, he was taken to hospital and found to be medically well. The next day, the 16th of March 2012, William was placed with authorised carers. And a year later, April 2013, a court ordered William to remain in care, technically under the parental responsibility of a government minister, until he turned 18. meaning that courts and the state government did not anticipate William ever returning to Carly and Brendan. And there are two ways of looking at that decision. What we know now, that he would disappear again, for good this time, and what was known then.
No answer. And all the curtains are drawn. I looked over the back fence and the garden's pretty overgrown, but there are some kids' toys. Like there's a paddling pool hanging over the back deck, and you can see through one of the windows that the kitchen's got stuff in it, so someone is living there.
Yeah.
So I left a letter, and hopefully she'll call.
So that was our last house.
Yeah.
What now?
Nina and I never do manage to speak to Carly. And Carly, if you're listening and you do want to talk, please do contact us. But we do have some idea of how she feels about what has happened to William and over the past decade. The year after he disappeared in 2015, Carly gave an interview to the 7 network that was broadcast on TV.
What sort of mum did you think you would be?
Like a nurturing mom, caring, loving, yeah, a good mom. No one knows their baby better than the mom.
Okay, so anyone that's watching this, anyone that's going to see you, what do you say to them? What can we do?
Don't hurt him. Just let him come home.
The more I learn about this, the more I think we actually can't separate what we know now about the decision to take William from his biological parents from what was known at the time. There is only the knowledge that William did go missing and is still missing. Since recording this episode, I've spoken again to Natalie, William's biological grandmother, and asked her to pass my number on to Brendan, her son. And I was talking to Natalie about this decision to take William away from his birth parents. I told her how even some of the people who played a role in what happened still ask themselves if it was the right decision. One of those was one of the officials who was sent to take William away from Carly, who was there at the moment William was taken from one family before being given to another. He doesn't want to be identified, so these are his words, but not his voice.
Looking back, it was hard, but we take kids off, families all the time. You do it, it's just, it is part of the job. But, and ironically, this is the thing I get upset about is, sorry, mate.
No, it's all right.
Yeah. We took William off Carly to protect him.
Yeah.
And, well, no one knows what happened. I mean, we've all got stories and thoughts, but I thought, how fucking ironic is that? Facts. And we took him off Carly, off the mother, because, just a shit family. You know them. You probably met them, I'm assuming. And you take William, take this baby, defenseless, poor little baby off a family because you've decided, or the government's decided the family is too shit to look after the child, and then this happens.
Yeah.
I can still see myself walking into that bloody unit. It's just up the stairs and turn left and you go into...
I've just got to say, this guy is one of the guys that worked for Department of Child Services and was one of the people that came in and removed William. It's really sad to think that he's sitting there calling a family shit. They're a shit family, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, they had problems and they needed help. But it's pretty sad to think that a government worker is sitting there calling someone a shit family and not worthy of looking after a child.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's disgusting.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what did you see when you got in there?
Oh, it's just a little housing commission unit, and there was shit everywhere and kids' toys everywhere, and that was just, yeah. And there was William on the floor. And Carly just abusing the shit out of us.
Carly doing what, sorry?
Oh, just abusing us, just, because we were there to take the kid.
And I'm assuming you'd been told by fax or whoever passed that instruction to you that he's in danger.
Well, I knew the family. I knew the Tyrrell family, and it was a shit environment for William to be in. There's no doubt in the world, but ironically, it's just, okay, I thought we were all protecting him.
Yeah.
And I just think, fuck, did we do the right thing? And did we... But you just shake your head sometimes. You go, would he still be alive? Maybe. You don't know.
You don't know, and you can't say, but you're only human if you're asking the question.
Well, exactly right. And you go, well, I don't know if he'll be alive, but there's a chance he might. I just think we thought we were all doing the right thing. Well, we knew, sorry, I shouldn't say we thought. We knew we were doing the right thing because of the situation in the family. So the family was very ordinary. The family is very, very ordinary, and Fax thought so too. But it's just the irony of it that we took him to protect him because we thought he needed protecting, and this is what happened.
I've obviously not been in your position, and I haven't seen a fraction of the things that you would have seen in your career. And I know that this probably isn't the worst of it, but that stuff isn't ever going to leave you or any of the people who were there that day, is it?
Well, no, not really. But
I hope it doesn't, and I hope this certain man has a lot of trouble sleeping at night, because the way he's talking about William and William's family, he should be disgusted in himself.
100%.
it is the thing you go, because of all the other shit we saw, like the deceased and the fatals and the kids and the SIDS deaths and all the rest of it, they're gone. They're in the back of my head. And another ironic thing, they're in my head. They're squared away. They're like, I'm fine with all of it. They visit occasionally, but 99% of the time I'm fine. It doesn't affect me day to day.
Yeah.
But William does, because it keeps coming back.
Because you
it
failed
keeps
him.
coming back, he says, because of what would end up happening to William.
Yeah, it's just shit. I mean, someone knows. More than one person knows the actual truth of what happened 100%, because William didn't walk away 100 miles. He didn't get, either it was in a car or whatever it is. Fucking someone knows what happened to William.
Today, police suspect the person who knows what happened to William is his foster mother. She insists on her innocence. So next time on Witness, we look at William's foster family. If you know anything about William's disappearance, please contact Crime Stoppers. There's a number in the show notes for this series. But if there's anything you want to tell us, you can email witness@news.com.au, or I'm on social media, and it can be completely confidential. A lot of people have been involved in making this series. Among them, the executive producer is Nina Young. The sound design was by Tiffany Dimack. The producers have been Emily Pidgeon, Nicholas Adams-Jasbar, and Phoebe Zakowski-Wallace. Voice acting on this episode by Marcus Oburn. Research by Aidan Patrick. Music by Rory O'Connor.
week will be the foster family.
Yep.
This guy, I know, that is disgusting. The way he was talking about William and William's family. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand that these people go into these situations all the time. But these families need help. Do you know what I mean? They don't need people in there like that saying, look at this shit house, this shit. That is horrible. Absolutely.
It really. I was just saying, like, he says all that. And I'm like, well, if you're going to say all that, no wonder you don't want to say it yourself, you know, like.
I'm not even saying about babies, like, passing of SIDS and just go to the back of his head. That's
disgusting.
Remember when you said William keeps coming back because you failed him? He's the case you failed. You didn't protect him. You didn't keep him safe. I don't know.
It amazes me that he was able to even be a social worker, like, with that sort of attitude.
I hope he's still not employed. Bratty little me, how are you, my darling? Good to see you in here. Oh, thank you for coming in. Yeah. When it comes closer to, like, once we finish some of the series, I might talk to Spirit Time and see if we can go for a drive back up to Kendall, because we're not, Jimmy, it's not that far from where we are.
Yeah.
I could take the Jag for a drive. But yeah, so I want to finish it with our little video of William, especially after that horrible man and all his words. I want to show how beautiful William actually was. Next week, I will try and get hold of Carly's interview, where she got interviewed, what was the biological mother, and then our podcast, what looks like we're going into the foster family. And I'll see what I can dig up on them, because I know I've got a lot on them as well.
Oh, yeah, the foster family, man.
Yes, I have a lot. I have huge piles on them. Probably more on them than I have on anyone. So it'll be an interesting week next week. But I want to show, we'll put William back up.
Catch up with William. Woohoo! Here I come. Where's that William guy? You're doing really well. Here I come, William. I'm right next to you.
It's so beautiful.
It is.
Hello. Look at you. Have you finished?
No, I did.
Lick your fingers, lick your hand. Happy birthday, William. Go, William. Yay!
Such a little cutie.
Oh, he is, and he deserves, like, justice.
Even if we don't find him, I just want to find out what happened so we can get justice, because he so deserves at least that.
He does.
But anyway, that's it for tonight. So I have put Friday night show up. We'll be doing Sebastian again. going over some more of the early, I think we're up to now some of the news article, like the news ones. But we'll be back Friday at 7:30 for Sebastian. I think that's about it. And next Wednesday again and Monday for Sebastian, and next Wednesday again for William. So thank you everyone for coming in. And we'll see you all next time. Thanks,
See you
everyone.
guys. Bye.
Every true crime on the rise. Investigate the scene, uncover the lies. From Melbourne to Sydney, all the way to Perth. No case too tough, we'll dig into the dirt. We'll crack the code, find the truth, bring justice to the table. No excuse, Australian legends in the game, bringing light to darkness, no shame. Just got a super chat, let's celebrate. Raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. From cold cases to missing persons, we'll leave no stone unturned. Every version detectives in our hearts will never give up. But justice and truth will always hear us. Ooh, thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. For all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much.